Ata Satotra Yat Saram Samudratya Manishaya Gruhi Bhadraya Bhutana Yetatma Suprasidati.
There are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instructions their heart may be fully satisfied.
Text 12. Suta Janasi Bhatram Te Bhagavan Satvatam Pati Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yasha Chikisaya.
All blessings upon you, O Sutta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki and the son of Vasudeva.
Text 13. Tanna Susru Samananam Arasi Angano Varnitam Yashavataru Bhutanam Shemaya Cha Bhavaya Cha.
O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters, acharyas, for one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them.
Text 14. Apana samskritim goram yannama vivasho granan tata sadya vimutyata yad viveti swayam bhayam.
Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified.
Text 15. Yat pada samsaya shuta munaya prasamayana sadya punanti upasprita swadhani apanusevaya.
O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use.
Text 16. Kova bhagavata tasya punya slokedya karmanaha shuddhi kamona shinuyat yasakali malapaham.
Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of quarrel, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord?
Text 17. Tasya karmani udarani parikitani suribi ruhina shveda dananam lilaya data taha kalaha.
His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narad sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures of he performs in his various incarnations.
Text 18. Athakya hi hare dhiman avatar kata subhaha lila vidadhata swairam ishwarasyatma mayaya.
O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers.
Text 19. Vayam tu na vitropyama uttama sloka vikrame yachran vatam rasagnanam swadu swadu pate pate.
We never tire. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastime of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationship with him relish hearing of his pastime at every moment.
Text 20. Kritvan kila karmani saharamena kesavaha atimatyani bhagavan gudah kapata manasaha.
Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balram, played like a human being, and so much he performed many superhuman acts.
Text 21. Kalim agatam agnaya kshetresmin vaishnave vayam asina dirga satrena kathayam saksana hare.
Knowing well that age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear a great length the transcendental messages of Godhead, and in this very perform sacrifice.
Text 22. Tamna sandarsito datra dustara nishtir satam kalim satva haram pumsam karnadara ivanavam.
We think that we have met your goodness by will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being.
Text 23. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna Brahmanye Dharma Varmani Swam Kastam Adunopete Dharmakam Sharanam Gata.
Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed from his own abode, please tell us whom the religious principles have now gone to shelter.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji, for that wonderful recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we will be discussing text 16, which is Ko va bhagavatas tasya punya shloke daya karmana shuddhi kamo na shrunyad yasya kali malapaham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of coral? Who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord? Purport. Please hear this purport. As I said in my message today on the Zoom session, that it is very relevant. Actually, every word of Srimad Bhagavatam is relevant to our daily lives, and more so in this current environment where one after another catastrophe is coming in front of us, one after another difficulty and challenges are coming in the world. So Prabhupada books gives us the perspective on how we can look at these challenges and try to rise above them and transcend them, to understand that there is a reality which is distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. As right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, second verse, you must have heard the Dharma Prochita Kaitvo Traparamo Nirmatsaranam Satam, that by completely rejecting all the unmotivated religions, Bhagavatam propounds the highest truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. So let's have a look at what Prabhupada has to tell us about this purport and try to just absorb yourself in these words of founder Acharya, and you will see that how Prabhupada sitting just few decades ago could oversee what is going to come and what is happening today. You will completely see that Srila Prabhupada is Trikala. Our Acharyas were Trikala. Sutta Goswami was Trikala. Sukadev Goswami was Trikala. Vyasadeva was Trikala. They could see what is happening in the future. If you remember one of the verse Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu or Mataji rather read in the translation, that the Kali Yuga has already begun, and that's why we are seated here in the stages in the forest of Naimisharanya, eagerly waiting for you to speak the pastimes of the Lord. So they had already predicted, and that was just the beginning of Kali Yuga, my dear friends. Wait till where it is now, and how much more it's going to progress towards degradation from here. And the only solace and hope is Krishna consciousness. So purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Are you all ready for this purport?
Hare Krishna.
Palika Mataji is definitely ready. Everybody else can close
Yes,
your ears.
Prabhuji. Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's
Yes,
good.
Prabhuji.
Okay, very good. I was just thinking, otherwise, you may feel free to either lower your volume or put hands on your ears. But now that all of you are saying you're interested, I'll read the purport. Okay, sorry about that. My son is not keeping well. He just came and spoke to me. Purport. The age of Kali is the most condemned age due to its quarrelsome features. Kali Yuga is so saturated with the vicious habits that there is a great fight at the slightest misunderstanding. Those who are engaged in the pure devotional service of the Lord, who are without any desire for self-aggrandizement, and who are freed from the effects of fruitive actions and dry philosophical speculations, are capable of getting out of the estrangements of this complicated age. Could somebody please Google this word and keep it ready for me? Just maybe Jyoti Mataji, if you're listening, or one of the Matajis. The word estrangements, we would like to see the exact meaning of it if possible from the Google. The leaders of the people are very much anxious to live in a peace and friendship, but they have no information of simple method of hearing the glories of the Lord. On the contrary, such leaders are opposed to propagation of the glories of the Lord. In other words, the foolish leaders want to completely deny the existence of the Lord. In the name of secular state, such leaders are enacting various plans every year. But by the insurmountable intricacies of the material nature of the Lord, all these plans for the progress.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm here. Hare Krishna.
Sorry?
Did you call my name, Prabhuji?
Yeah, that was in relation to the word I asked somebody to Google, Mataji. So it's okay. Let me finish your
Okay,
purport.
sorry.
But by the insurmountable intricacies of the material nature of the Lord, all these plans for progress are being constantly frustrated. They have no eyes to see that their attempts at peace and friendship are failing. But here is the hint to get over the hurdle. If we want actual peace, we must open the road to understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify for his virtuous activities as they are depicted in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Who would like to hear this purport one more time of Srila Prabhupada?
I would.
Yes, please.
Thank you,
Yes,
Bhagavati
yes,
Mataji.
please, Prabhuji.
Let's read it one more time and let's see how much we can
Go
absorb and
for it, yeah.
take this truth. The age of Kali is the most condemned age due to its quarrelsome features. Kali Yuga is so saturated with the vicious habits that there is a great fight at the slightest misunderstanding. Those who are engaged in the pure devotional service of the Lord, who are without any desire for self-aggrandizement, and who are freed from the effect of fruitive actions and dry philosophical speculations, are capable of getting out of the estrangements of this complicated age. The leaders of the people are very much anxious to live in peace and friendship, but they have no information of the simple method of hearing the glories of the Lord. On the contrary, such leaders are opposed to the propagation of the glories of the Lord. In other words, the foolish leader wants to completely deny the existence of the Lord. In the name of secular state, such leaders are enacting various plans every year. But by the insurmountable intricacies of the material nature of the Lord, all these plans for progress are being constantly frustrated. They have no eyes to see that their attempts at peace and friendship are failing. But here is the hint to get over the hurdle. If we want actual peace, we must open the road to understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify him for his virtuous activities as they are depicted in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. If we want actual peace, we must open the road to understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify him for his virtuous activities as they are depicted in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. If we want actual peace, what should we do? We must open the road to understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify him for his virtuous activities as they are depicted in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation once again. Who is there desiring the deliverance from the vices of the age of coral, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord? I mean, I cannot either dream, imagine, or think that there can be a better purport or a better verse we can get in from Srimad Bhagavatam or any literature for that matter, which clearly describes our current situation in the world, and also not only the situation, but is actually offering the solution to that situation. Did anybody had a chance to look at that word which we came upon? What does it mean exactly?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, go ahead, one of the Matajis. Anybody?
It says, fact of no longer leaving one's spouse or partner, like, they don't want to know each other. That's the meaning.
Means having lost former closeness and affection. That's what
Yeah,
it means.
nice. Having lost formal closeness and affection. Thank you so much. It does bring a perspective to what we were reading. So here are some really illuminating points, and I picked up from another book where Srila Prabhupada writes about this particular verse and then elaborates, and it brings the point even more so home in our current situation where the world is really struggling. Not just, I mean, of course, Ukraine is the one who's at the front of that suffering, and there are others who are in the line. It is only a matter of time when the suffering or the intensity of the suffering is going to be passed on to us. It's only a matter of a time. So in this age of Kali, the propensity for mercy is almost nil. Consequently, there is always fighting and wars between the men's and the nations. So these are the words coming from not from this purport, but the elaboration of this purport where Srila Prabhupada gives a reference in another book. Bhagavati Mataji, since you're the last to say something, I think, or you're coming up on my screen, could you just read this?
I mean, this paragraph?
Yes, please. Devotees, if you, whatever you're doing, if you don't mind dropping your pants, your pen, your remote, your whatever task you're doing, just here, because you're going to feel a sense of peace, a sense of a direction, a sense of compass, as Sutava Prabhu says, when you read what's going on, and you'll really be able to understand and have a better view and a good perspective of what's happening in the world. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Men do not understand that because they unrestrictedly kill so many animals, they also must be slaughtered like animals in big wars. This is very much evident in the Western countries. In the West, slaughterhouses are maintained without restrictions, and therefore every 5th or 10th year, there's a big war in which countless people are slaughtered even more cruelly than the animals. Sometimes during war, soldiers keep their enemies in concentration camps and kill them in very cruel ways. These are reactions brought about by unrestricted animals killing in the slaughterhouse and by hunters in the forest. Proud, demoniac persons do not know the laws of nature or the laws of God. Consequently, they unrestrictedly kill poor animals, not caring for them at all. In the Krishna consciousness movement, animal killing is completely prohibited. One is not accepted as a bona fide student in this movement unless he promises to follow the 4 regulative principles: no animals killing, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. This is Krishna consciousness movement is the only mean by which the sinful activities of men in this Kali Yuga can be counteracted. King is Srimad Bhagavatam 4.26.5. I think it's Parikshit king, isn't it? Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt, and his queen becomes angry. That is where he takes the second birth as a woman, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, Hari
So
Hari.
do you see thank you, Mataji. Do you see a clear relationship between what Prabhupada is trying to explain versus what's happening with Russia and Ukraine right now as a war situation? And previous to that, COVID, and previous to that, many other things actually. This is what happens because we have set out in the world for a mission called mass slaughtering of these living entities who have the equal right to live as much as the humans do. Because they cannot speak up, because they cannot, we do not have the hearts to see the pains. That does not mean we are not going to be bound up in the karmic reaction. We will be bound up. We will have to pay the result. But some of us seemingly pay more, and some of us, as Nectar of Devotion explains, that there are certain reactions which are completely fructified, and there are ones which are called kuta, which are yet to be fructified, and there are ones which are in a seed form. They're much way behind us in terms of us to suffer those reaction actually. Who do we have? We have, did I see somebody called Mahesh Prabhu? Are you with us? Will you be able to read the next paragraph for us from Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay. Any other volunteers who would like to read?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Jyoti Mataji, and then Prabhuji. Who was that? Just after, so that I know.
Anyway,
Mahesh Prabhu. Yes,
I
Mahesh
listen.
Prabhu, you'll read the next one after this. Thank you, Prabhu. Go ahead, Jyoti Mataji.
It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that in Kali Yuga, the heads of government will be plunderers and thieves. These thieves and plunderers take the money and property of the public by force or connivance. Therefore, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Rajanyar Nirgarnair Dasyu Dharma Bihe. As Kali Yuga advances, we can see that these characteristics are already visible. We can certainly imagine how deteriorated human civilization will be by the end of Kali Yuga. Indeed, there will no longer be a sane man capable of understanding God and our relationship with Him. In other words, human beings will be just like animals. At that time, in order to reform human society, Lord Krishna will come in the form of the Kalki avatar. His business will be to kill all the atheists because ultimately the real protector is Vishnu or Krishna. Conversation between Maharaj,
Rahugana.
Rahugana and Jarbharat.
Thank
SB
you.
5.12.7. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Makes sense what we just read, dear devotees?
Yes, certainly.
I mean, I just cannot. I was thinking when I was reading and
To the
preparing for my
words.
session, like, I mean, every single word is nothing but an absolute truth. And even after that, if you shelter of these words and these purports of Srila Prabhupada and his books, then unfortunately, Shrama eva hi kevalam. We have really wasted our life, this human form of life. And as Prabhupada says in many places, we have gone to dogs, unfortunately. So let's have Mahesh Prabhu, if you could read. Sorry, Mataji, you were saying something?
We can see it at the moment what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. Isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the countries which strongly oppose the
Yeah.
ultimate authority or having a conception of a superior personality or a supreme personality of Godhead are the ones, and Russia is going to pay the price. And unfortunately, Ukraine is praying, but a Vaishnav heart, this is philosophy. But on the other side, what we also have to do is carry on cultivating this compassionate spirit, like somebody, I think I wish I could. Let me see if I can show that 2 minutes video of Prabhupada in relation to this. Yeah, I'll show that to all of you. That'll really drive the point home in terms of what is needed for the world today. Our strong sadhana, our strong commitment to Srila Prabhupada's teaching is what is required, and it'll keep the world afloat, even while we continue to do it, actually. Okay.
Hare Krishna,
Yes, Palika Mataji. Hare
just want
Krishna.
to mention that, we were discussing other day also in other Bhagavatam class, Mukunda
Yes,
Hari
Mataji.
class,
Yes.
that Russian actually, in Russia, there are a lot more devotee now, since Srila Prabhupada started, anywhere else. They're very good devotee, Russian devotees are wonderful. I know the rest of the country is not. I mean, the demoniac people wanted to destroy ISKCON temple, but there are lots of devotees. They are praying,
Yeah, Mataji,
They're
absolutely.
very
Absolutely.
sincere. Russian devotees are very, very sincere. I've seen them in the parikrama. So what about their prayers,
Absolutely. I mean, they are praying, and it is their prayers which are keeping us afloat, Mataji, and keeping everyone else afloat. It is the prayers of the Vaishnavas which are keeping us afloat. But what I'm trying to share here is the principle about what Prabhupada is trying to say,
Yes.
how to understand that why the war is happening in the first place. A lot of times, like, I was thinking and I was watching myself very carefully that what am I doing? I was developing this enmity towards Putin, and which is natural for everyone to think like that. But then when I read these words and I realize actually I'm not the one who's going to do anything to Putin or can do anything. And all his actions and reactions of all the people who are with him are being recorded by the superior law. We can't even begin to imagine that how he will be either punished or whatever it is he deserves will be treated. We can't even begin to contemplate that. Actually, it's beyond our conception. But every reaction has a result. We may be able to surpass the country law, but we can't surpass these material laws which are governed under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. Everything characharam, everything is happening under the supreme guidance of Krishna, actually. Mahesh Prabhu, please go ahead and read this paragraph. You're on mute, Prabhu, if you're trying to read it.
Yeah. The modern activities of human society are described in Srimad Bhagavatam as the activities of Gokara, cows and asses. Sa eva Gokara. Everyone is acting in a bodily concept of life involving society, friendship, and love for the improvement of economic and political conditions, and thus all the activities are enacted in ignorance. The Supreme Personality therefore comes to teach us how to act according to the Vedic principles. In this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and preached that in this age, the Vedic activities cannot be systematically performed because people are so fallen. He gave he gave this recommendation from the Shastras. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalam, Kalo Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatir Nata.
Thank you, Mahesh Prabhu. So this is the, if you can stay on mute, devotees, there's some background noises. Thank you. So the idea is, the Shastra is telling us we have to take the shelter of the holy name. And the more we take the shelter, the more we are not necessarily saved by the material complexities, but we are blessed by the spiritual empowerment of the Lord. That is the difference between anyone who's trying to depend on his own power, own strength, his own expertise, or his own political view, versus someone who's depending and taking the shelter of the holy name, knowing to be the sum and bonum or the Yuga Dharma, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came to inaugurate 500 years ago, and to teach us that please do not take this holy name lightly. This is the essence of all the Vedic scriptures. Srimad Bhagavatam concludes in the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that this holy name is the essence of Kali Yuga, is the essence of all, it's the nichod, it's the most ripened juice of all the fruits put together is given in the holy name. So if we take to this holy name and chant sincerely every morning, whenever possible, wherever possible, then we can stay somewhat peaceful and somewhat connected with this wonderful energy of the Lord, which is flowing in the form of his various instructions, various acharyas, his spiritual masters. So more than ever before, dear ladies and gentlemen, that please, let's try to analyze where the world is, where we are, and how much progress are we facing. Because as Mataji was saying, although Russia is doing all this, but within Russia there are people who are praying for the benefit of people in Ukraine. I mean, most of the Russians are, apart from the handful of the people, as we all understand. So all we can do is, as a practicing sadhakas, we should also pray to Lord Nrsingadev for the protection of the devotees and the protection of all the people, actually, those who are going through so much of suffering. So that these people, and we should always conclude our prayers that we please kindly protect the people who are going through so much of suffering, and somehow or other give them an opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness in this very life. That is the sum and bonum of our prayers. If we just simply say protect their bodies, we are not making a nice offering. We are not giving something which is going to stay with them for the rest of the eternity. But if we say and conclude our prayers that please also allow them an opportunity and association of Srila Prabhupada's books, Krishna Prasadam, doing something for, so that they have an opportunity to progress themselves in Krishna consciousness, then we are really making a great appeal, making a wonderful prayer at the lotus feet of the Lord. So in conclusion, what I wanted to say that, let me see if I can play that video. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, I think I should be able to play the video. Perfect. 1 second. One second. Where is it gone? Let me see if I can give me 1 second. I'll try to share the. Here we are. Okay. Yes, I should be able to share my screen now. Video.
Hundreds of flags. How they can unite? They can unite it in Krishna consciousness. People are mad after national. People are mad after nationalism and fighting. One nation is fighting with another. These rascals do not know that why they are fighting, the land belongs to God. So when people become Krishna conscious, this nonsense fighting will stop. Otherwise there is no possibility. Otherwise it is not possible. They are trying to stop fighting by this so-called League of Nations or United Nations, they are disunited. On principle they are disunited, so many hundreds of flags. How they can be united? They can be united in Krishna consciousness. When they will be really learned, Pandita Samadarshina, Pandita, when one is learned, just like we are Samadarshina. We don't discriminate American, Indian, African, this. We distribute Krishna consciousness to everyone. Because we know everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. Everyone is son of Krishna. They are suffering on account of this material contamination. Let us do something for them. This is one. This is Krishna.
How appropriate the video was, right?
So wonderful. Srila Prabhupada is so powerful. I just feel like it should be shown in all the television just now, you know.
I know. I wish people should be able to see it. People should be able to get some perspective in their life. Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, you were trying to say something. I have a couple more slides to go, but let's have a couple of reflections.
That was wonderful. It should be widely shared, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, I'll share it with everyone. You all can share it with your friends and people get an idea.
Because Russia is an atheistic country, even though there's a handful of devotees who are really good. But yes, just like Ravan had all the boons, and what happened to him? There's always a
Prabhu, you're muted now.
Same thing what Russia is doing, killing people like animals, isn't it? It's just that's how it is. Very effective, very effective.
Prabhu, can you please share in our chat so
the video?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. I'll share it.
I'll just share to anybody, you know.
Sure, no problem. I mean, did you see the point about Prabhupada? You know, they're saying it's United Nation, but it's completely divided nations. You know, there is no principle. Prabhupada is saying for uniting you need a principle, but they have no principle. They're all trying to scratch. You scratch my back, I scratch my back. You know, France was trying to have a deal with them. All sorts of things are going on. It's quite amazing. You know. But let's do what we can. Let's play our part, dear devotees. And the way we can play our part is by taking Krishna consciousness seriously and spreading Krishna consciousness as much as possible to the best of our capacity. And spreading the holy name is the real medicine. And these books of Srila Prabhupada are nothing less than the medicine, but like a injection which needs to be injected into every single human being right now, right here. And among all these various injections, the injection which carries the highest toxins or the highest intoxication, which can make people drunk and go mad, is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. You see, we took 3 vaccines and a booster and so many things we take, but we don't take a booster of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We do not take the first dose of Adi Leela. We do not take the second dose of the Madhyam Leela. We don't take a booster, which is the Ante Leela of the Lord. We are taking all sorts of vaccination, which is needed. We have to, of course, protect ourselves. It's very, very important. But what we need to protect the most is our consciousness, Prabhus and Matajis. So please help us in this effort in spreading. First of all, there are 60 of you. If you do not have Chaitanya Charitamrita, order this. This is the crest jewel of all the Vedic texts. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if there is a calamity, if there is a flood, and everything I have is being lost, and I have these 3 books, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita on my bookcase, and I need to run house, and if I'm trying to run house and the water has come till my chest or till my neck, now I know I have to drop something, I'll drop Bhagavad Gita. Then the water has now risen towards my mouth and I'm struggling, I'll have to drop Bhagavatam. But he's saying don't drop Chaitanya Charitamrita because it's going to take you to the other side of the material world, into the spiritual world. As I said in many times, Narottam Das Thakur saying, Gaurangera Dhuti Pada. In that bhajan, he says, when you dive into the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan pastimes, it's like diving on this side of the shore of Jagannath Puri. You take bath in the beach of Jagannath Puri like Mahaprabhu used to do. You dive on this side and you come out on the other side of the ocean, which is Radha Krishna pastime, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Madhav, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Gopinath, Radha Landaneshwar. Those pastimes are taking place on the other side. Because we have the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva, there is some hope for us to get on to the other side. So these are the following ways which you already know. If not, here it is. You can get involved. Tomorrow morning, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu will be doing a short session of half an hour. I will share the link on the group where you can present, you can learn how you can present Chaitanya Charitamrita to others. It's a very simple way. We can give you the slides and you can present to your friends and family. Like you have so many devotees on the call, Bhagwati Mataji, Hema Mataji, so many others, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, they're already talking to their friends and people who do not have sets and asking them to take a set or a sponsor a set. So it's a great service opportunity. We at the temple in the Haveli, now we will have tables on Saturday and Sunday. If you are available and if you can come and spare a couple of hours to do this service at the table, you can sign up and I'll share the link with all of you on the WhatsApp group. Just give me 1 second. I'll share it now. So you have this link available for yourself, which you can just join, and whichever couple of hours you can dedicate to join, that will be a great service you can help us with. So this is the link I'm putting in the chat group. You can simply click this link. This is for anybody who wishes to help during the weekend in the reception rota. And you can just click this WhatsApp link. There is a timings are shared on this group, and you can just come and help us for a couple of hours to simply present to the people who are already conducive coming to the temple. They come to the table, you tell them about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and make a presentation. We will have a beautiful album there for you to present it. So like this, there is a great opportunity for all of us. The other opportunity we have is now we have a team of 5 groups of children who are presenting Chaitanya Charitamrita online. Almost it's going to be every day starting from next week, at least 2-3 times. But this weekend, I have a group of 4 children I'm working with, and they're like this. There are 5 groups. We have definitely confirmed slots at 7:30 p.m. and at 8 and both Saturday and Sunday. So if you have someone like your friend and family, you're not sure how to tell them about Chaitanya Charitamrita, just simply invite them to this one of these sessions at 7:30 p.m. and let them attend a session and see if you can join in as well for half an hour. It's only half an hour. And then you can jump onto the chat plus session. They will get a real opportunity to hear about this golden avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And after that, they can decide whether they would like to invite Chaitanya Charitamrita in their home or not. And we have so many languages available. So these are the various options you have available in which you can get involved. We really need help at the reception table, which is a very easy way, and also for the online presentation. And if you want to present it yourself, you can also attend tomorrow's session of Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu at 10:30. So does anybody has any comments or questions or reflection from today's session you'd like to add? This is my humble appeal that by doing this, you're definitely making a difference to the world, because I remember this pastime of Srila Prabhupada when he went to see his spiritual master at Ulta Danga Road. One of his friends dragged him. He wasn't going. That this is a real sadhu. You may want to meet him. Prabhupada said, I've met so many. And now there's another one. What's the point? He said, no, come. This is real sadhu. So Prabhupada went. He sat at the back. And then as the lecture ended, Prabhupada straight looked at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Prabhupada. He looked at Srila Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, and said, you look like a gentleman. You should go and preach this message of cult of Mahaprabhu in the Western countries. And the first response Srila Prabhupada gave is that right now our country is in the jurisdiction of British, and I want to help India become independent. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that this is an urgent matter. He was very grave. He said we cannot wait for someone to become independent. This Krishna consciousness the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have to be given to the people so that before they die, they can make some progress. This is so urgent. And Srila Prabhupada, immediately at that moment, it is remarked by Satsarup Maharaj and many Srila Prabhupada disciples, and Prabhupada himself recalls these conversations and mentions that very moment Srila Prabhupada decided that he's going to surrender his life to his spiritual master who was seated right in front of him. He had that inclination in his heart because that little argument Prabhupada had, which he thought was the best argument he could present to anybody in the world, was smashed to pieces by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, just explaining that how urgent this matter is. And this, how it takes directly and penetrates and talks about the soul. It doesn't deal with the bodily platform, which is to do with this all political matters actually. So by trying to spread this message of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, his biography and the Panchatattva, you're doing the most glorious service. You're becoming very, 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 very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I can, with my only folded hands, beg all of you that please do your best. We want to offer 300 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita to Srila Prabhupada, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu this Gaur Purnima. I understand it is a very big task, but only Prabhupada always wanted us to think big. And when we think big, then miracle happens, you know. So I want to beg all of you that please, those of you who are already doing, I'm extremely grateful to you. And those of you who are thinking to do, I'm also grateful to you. And those who are not yet thought, but here is your opportunity, that please help us. I will share the link tomorrow. You have my personal number. If you can make some appointments, some calls, just tell your friends that, listen, Gaur Purnima is coming. This is the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who only appeared 500 years ago. The scriptures reveal that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please, I'm going to this presentation at 7:30 p.m. I know this guy who comes onto our chat plus. Some wonderful children are there. They're making a presentation on the pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Let's come and learn what it is about. Simply say that. It's how difficult it is to tell somebody. What did Mahaprabhu say to Nityananda Prabhu? Kaho Gauranga, laho Gaurangera naam re. Just take Gauranga's name. Tell everyone to chant Gauranga. It's not Mahaprabhu, it's Nityananda Prabhu saying. That's what we have to tell. We have to tell people, come and hear about Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the most magnanimous incarnation. And you simply bring them to the presentation and let their heart become melt as they learn about the glorious qualities and magnanimity of this wonderful golden avatar of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then let them decide. Actually, they won't decide. Mahaprabhu will decide whether he wishes to go to their house with a complete Panchatattva in the form of this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that's my humble appeal. And I pray at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada that all of you get empowerment to help us in this effort. And I also pray to our previous acharyas that whatever we read today, that we get some perspective, some direction, and we pray at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, and Shri Shri Gaurnitai, that they protect those who are going through this difficult time and maintain them and give them the intelligence by which they can come to their lotus feet of the lordships and get this golden opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness in this age. Those of you who agree with this prayer, either in part or whole, please unmute yourself and don't leave. Just say Hare Krishna and you can mute yourself back. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Krishna
Rama.
Krishna, Hare
So does anybody has any questions or any comments? Anything regarding what we covered today? Any questions around how you can help in distributing this wonderful Vedic jewel, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Prabhuji, there is something on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pashuram Prabhu from London left to Ukraine and serving Prasadam. Glorious, absolutely glorious. Yeah, he's a real soldier. He's in the battlefield. Yes, absolutely. I have a message from Shailesh Prabhu saying, Prabhu, can I please request that you also read out the following Srimad Bhagavatam verse 1.11.34 just now, as it brings what we have discussed today into perspective. Of course, we will read out anything which is coming from Srila Prabhupada books. I shall read it out right now. The verse is 1.11.34. Canto 1, chapter 11, verse 34. I shall certainly read it out and I'll share my screen. with all of you. Let's stay tuned to hear another wonderful purport of Srila Prabhupada. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the two powerful administrators, and they fought among themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between the bamboos and so sparks a fire. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, since you initiated, would you like to read the purport, at least few lines on the first paragraph?
Krishna Prabhu, yes, it's quite a long purport. I just thought it's appropriate in terms of what we're reading.
Sure. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Happy to read it. Yeah, don't overpronounce. As stated above, the living beings are not factual enjoyers of things which are manifested as God's creation. The Lord is the genuine proprietor and enjoyer of everything manifested in his creation. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluded energy, the living being becomes a false enjoyer under the dictation of the modes of nature. Puffed up by such false sense of being God, the deluded living being increases his material strength by so many activities and thus becomes the burden of the earth. So much so that the earth becomes completely uninhabitable by the same. This state of affairs is called dharmasya glahanim, or misuse of the energy of the human being. When such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings become perturbed by the awkward situation created by vicious administrators who are simply burdens of the earth, and the Lord appears by his internal potency just to save the saner section of humanity and to alleviate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. He does not favor either the unwanted administrators, but by his potential power, he creates hostility between such unwanted administrators as the air creates fire in the forest by, you need to move it up, please, Prabhu. Forest by the friction of the bamboos. The fire in the forest takes place automatically by the force of the air. And similarly, the hostility between different groups of politicians takes place by unseen design of the Lord.
The unwanted administrators, puffed up by the false power and military strength, thus become engaged in fighting amongst themselves over ideological conflicts and so exhaust themselves of all powers. The history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord, and it will continue to be enacted until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.14, this fact is very vividly described. It is said, the deluding energy is my potency, and thus it is not possible for the dependent living beings to supersede the strength of the material modes. But those who take shelter in me, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can cross over the gigantic ocean of material energy. This means that no one can establish peace and prosperity in the world by fruitive activities or by speculative philosophy or ideology. The only way is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and thus become free from the illusion of the deluding energy.
Perhaps you can get somebody else to read, Prabhuji, if you have time to read. I just thought it's
anybody else would like to read the last paragraph? Hare Krishna, anyone?
Can I read it, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Unfortunately, persons who are engaged in destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of Godhead. They are all fools of the first order. They are the lowest of the human species of life. They are robbed of their knowledge, although apparently they seem to be academically educated. They are all of the demonic mentality, always challenging the supreme power of the Lord. Those who are very materialistic, always hankering after material power and strength, are undoubtedly fools of the first order because they have no information of the living energy and being ignorant of that supreme spiritual science. They are observed in material sense, which ends with the end of the material body. They are the lowest of human beings because the human life is especially meant for re-establishing the lost religion with God, and they miss this opportunity by being engaged in material activities. They are robbed by their knowledge because even after prolonged speculation, they can't reach the stage of knowledge, the personality of Godhead, the summum bonum of everything. And all of them are men of demonic principle, and they suffer to the consequences, as did such materialistic heroes as Ravana, Hiranyakasipu, Kamsa, and others. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you're on mute, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, thank you. Did you just said Kamsa, Ravana, Putin, and others? Is that what you said? Okay, it's getting recorded. All right. Well, thank you so much, dear devotees. I have a couple of announcements to make. One, obviously, I've already done about Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please reach out. Please help us to your friends. Call them. Tell them about the presentation tomorrow or day after. See whichever they are available. Message me directly. This is my number if you do not have. 07527424115. WhatsApp me if you have a confirmed appointment. I will send you the Zoom link personally. That's the easiest way. And all you have to do is just call them, and I'll be the one who will be facilitating that presentation along with the children and concluding it with the children for any of these two presentations on Saturday evening or Sunday evening, actually. So you've got my number. Just WhatsApp me and help us. If you can help at the reception, either Saturday or Sunday, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever you can dedicate, that will be really nice. The second announcement I wanted to make, as you know, a few days ago, my Guru Maharaj is doing a retreat. He's coming in April, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu in New Mayapur, France. If all goes well, we are still planning. 50 devotees have signed up. Sutapa Prabhu is going to be there for the week. Jananand Maharaj, Havi Prabhu, another disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he's a very famous musician. He's going to be there. So it's going to be really nice kirtan and some nice Krishna Katha. We will be absorbed for the 7 days in New Mayapur. So obviously they have very few en suites. They're all being taken, but other rooms are also quite comfortable because they have accommodation of 90. So even with the shared bathrooms, it's quite nice and clean and a very comfortable one. We have either Prabhus can share, with Prabhus, or Mataji can share with Matajis. We also have some family rooms which you can share with the shared bathroom. So if anybody is interested, we have last few spaces left. You can contact me. I can send you the flight details. You can book the flight details directly, and I can send you the Lakshmi. It is a retreat not organized by me. It's not one of my ventures which I'm doing in Vrindavan. It's directly done by, as in my Guru Maharaj is the one who's the host of this retreat. So whatever Lakshmi is collected is going towards your accommodation, actually. And we will be doing a coach from Stanmore to go to Stansted Airport. We are leaving on 1st of April. Some devotees are leaving on 2nd of April. It's from 1st to the 7th. Some are coming on 2nd early morning because that early morning flight goes into Toes Airport. It lands directly there. So it's much closer, 1 hour away to New Mayapur. But on 1st, it's in the afternoon. So it's more convenient. So we go to another airport, which is 2 hours away to New Mayapur. So if anyone is interested, you've got my number anyway. Just WhatsApp me. I'll send you the details of the brochure. You can register. This is the last week of registration by this Sunday or Monday. And then we will be transferring all the Lakshmis back to New Mayapur, and looking forward to this wonderful trip. We also have another retreat happening for the volunteers, those who serve at the manor, which is at the Vedanta. I'm sure some of you have already registered with Karthik Chand Prabhu, Sutapa Prabhu, and many devotees are coming there as well. So I'll just see if anyone has any question or comment. Last one, and then we close the call. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. What a nice purport we read. What a wonderful video we watched. I'll share it on the WhatsApp group. And please remember to help us with Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you do not have a set for yourself, buy it right now. This is where you can purchase it. And you can either collect it at the temple or pay extra 10 pounds to courier it, and we will courier it to your home. This is the link to purchase Chaitanya Charitamrita. And thank you to all of those who are helping, working so hard in distribution of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will certainly be very pleased. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you. Amazing
Thank you,
session.
Prabhuji.